And good evening, everybody. Wow, that's a bit of a cliffhanger ending to a video, isn't it? I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, coming to you tonight courtesy of the NSC Roadshow Tour. It's a podcast tour where we get hooked up with different creators. Creators get hooked up with us, and we just kind of sit here and talk about their new projects. Tonight, we are going into the world of crowdfunded comics, as we do 95% of the time. Tonight, our guest is Mr. Shawn Hainsworth, who has invented the killing machine. Shawn, welcome to the show, sir. Who or what, cutting right to the chase, is the killing machine?
Yes. So this comic, I'm going to go a little bit afield, and I'll come back to the question. This comic started, the whole idea of this comic came about when I was watching too many samurai movies from the 50s and 60s.
No such thing.
No, yeah, that's how I feel too. And I got this idea of sort of a masterless samurai that was a robotic warrior, a robot warrior whose the commanders had all died off, and he was left just wandering the galaxy in search of purpose. And that was the origin of this story. The story's evolved a lot since then, but the killing machine is the title character. His name is Richter, and he is a what I'm calling an autonomous robotic commander. So he has been put in charge of a crew of 39 that have been sent on a mission to steal an object known as the Hand of God from an alien species.
All right, so he's sort of a robot Ronin.
A robot Ronin, exactly.
So with a robot as your main character, did you run into any challenges writing the character? Because in comics, and in fact in all fiction, your leading character, you have a lot of internal monologuing. And I've never really considered whether an android or a robot or a mechanical being of whatever, because yes, there's a difference between android and robot, I know, but whether or not they actually have and maintain an internal monologue of their own thoughts. And while we're discussing that, let me bring the stream up here so people can actually see where we're at on this.
Yeah, and thank you. We actually launched this morning at 9 a.m. and we were fully funded in less than 8 hours. So so the community has just been great, and thank you and to everyone who's contributed because we did really well today. Actually, so Richter is a main character, but there are multiple characters, and I really spent a lot of time developing the story. I wrote the story up first as a novel. I wrote it up as a screenplay. So I know very much where it's going, and I spent a lot of time developing the characters that Richter will bounce off of, because I do think it can be hard to have an android as the central character for all the reasons that you mentioned. Because we want to relate to our characters, and we want to see human conflict, and it can be sometimes hard to project that onto a robot. So the second in command, one of the other main characters, her name is Lieutenant Coney. She is sort of a recovering drug addict who, through force of will, and her mother, who was a captain in the military, reinvented herself. She's the lieutenant of Richter's ship. And in many ways, she's sort of the moral center of the story. But she has a great relationship with Richter. And part of the inspiration for that, and I know I'm going a little far afield outside of science fiction, but I'm a huge fan of the Horatio Hornblower novels, which are set during the Napoleonic Wars. And Gene Roddenberry was a huge fan of these novels. And there's a great relationship between Hornblower and his Lieutenant Bush. So in that regard, I have Coney as the more human character to Richter's robot, and the relationship between them is very interesting.
Yeah, and I like the messaging you put right into the main image here with Richter in the Vitruvian Man position, because it's harkens back to that whole Da Vinci picture.
How do we measure a human being? What makes a human being? Exactly. Yeah. And that was the artist, Michel Fortin. That was his idea for the cover. And he's just been a joy to work with. It's been really great to see what he's come up with.
Now, is he doing the internal pictures as well?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So what you see on the outside is what you get on the inside.
What you get on the outside, what you get on the inside. He's doing the sketching, the inking. coloring. And we have a great relationship. I've actually been putting together the behind the scenes booklet, which is one of the rewards on Kickstarter, and including a lot of sketches, his initial sketches, my notes, our thinking about it. Because, for me, I come out of a film background, and I really care about how the story is told visually, that it's very clear what's happening and as interesting as possible in terms of the way the story is evoked. So we go back and forth a lot from his initial sketches in terms of boiling them down. In addition to the samurai influences, I'm a big spaghetti Western fan, Sergio Leone. So the opening scene of this is kind of inspired in some ways by the opening scene of Once Upon a Time in the West, which is, a remarkable opening scene if anyone's ever seen it.
Now, we talked about the object that that people theorize spread life to Earth with all the stuff on it. In your book, it's not just like some random meteor ran down. When we see it, it's either something that was part of something alive already, because it's kind of got that whole fungal, floral look to it, or it's designed intentionally, which lends towards the intelligent design theory. It's not a rock with germs on it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we liked the idea of a galactic spore. And so we actually took an inspiration from microscopic images of spores. So it does have that living quality.
Yeah, there's a mathematic to it. So it's just like there are with plants, the Fibonacci sequence of the way that leaves will grow around certain plants.
Yes, the conch shell, the same thing. I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, now your characters find this not too far in the future. You've got 2073 as the year here. By this point, have we already encountered alien life, or is this our first contact sort of moment?
Yeah, great question. This is our first contact sort of moment. I saw something pop up about some of the influences, but yeah, I wanted to set it in the future, but not in the ridiculous future, right? Like 2500, where things are so different we can't possibly imagine, and where artificial intelligence will have gone places we can't imagine. So far enough in the future that we could have something like Richter, that an android that could behave at that level of sophistication. But not so far in the future. And yes, we have not encountered alien species. One of the other influences of this is Arthur C. Clarke, 2001. The idea that there are these big black monoliths, and that we seek these monoliths out, and these monoliths are in some ways the key to our evolution as a species. And so there's something very similar with the hand of God in that there is something mathematical to it, and when that math is decoded, it leads us to sort of the galactic coordinates of a portal in space. Not unlike 2001. 2001, I think they use it's a moon of Jupiter. I think it's maybe it's Io. I can't remember. But sort of as an homage, I'm using a moon near the moon of Ganymede on Jupiter as well for the location of this portal. So there's definitely that going on, and this is our first encounter with an alien race.
Science fiction likes to use math as a message a lot, and I think the most interesting aspect that I ever saw that used in was in Contact, Carl Sagan's Contact.
Yeah,
it was in the book, not the movie.
That's why I love science fiction. So many genres open up the creative door to you, fantasy and horror, where creatures and you can let your imagination run free. But science fiction, often allows you to also add in these kind of deeper questions, and that's really what I'm, trying to get at, as well as just having an awful lot of fun and some gun battles and some space battles, and to make you care about these characters.
Well, it's been great having you here. Appreciate you coming on the show. Folks, by the way, Shawn is here courtesy of NSC Roadshow. If you have a campaign and you want to get in touch with a lot of podcasters, go visit nscroadshow.com. And likewise, if you are a podcaster and you're like, nobody's coming on my show, how do I find people? Go out to nscroadshow.com. Get on the tour, people, and Mr. Kevin Gillette will take good care of you. Folks in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate you. We do not have a show without you being here. And as always, of course, While you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.